Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest-running community podcast, now in our 18th year. We're brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union for 6 decades, doing great things for folks living in San Diego County. We are so honored to be broadcasting from the venerable San Diego Humane Society headquarters here on Gaines Street. And you know what I'm going to say, one of my good friends and some of my favorite interviews come from this gentleman here, Dr. Gary Weitzman. He is the president and CEO of the San Diego Humane Society. It's always a good day when you're on the show, Gary.
Oh, it's always a good day for me when you invite me on the show, Drew.
Incessantly. And you got a colleague with you that's going to be joining us, Dr. Alexis Wohl. She is the Wildlife Rehabilitation Veterinarian at the Society's Project Wildlife. How you doing, Alexis?
Great. Happy to be here today.
Good. How long have you been working in that role?
So I've been at the Humane Society for 3 years now.
Okay.
I started off as a veterinary intern.
Okay.
And was lucky enough to be hired out of my internship early and have been here as a staff veterinarian for the last about 2.5 years.
That's beautiful. Can't wait to talk about what you do in the Project Wildlife and the rehabilitation aspect of it. But and both of you guys just jump in anytime you want on the interview over here. But talk about this, and I think most people just don't understand this, of course. Avoid intervening during baby wildlife season. Talk about that.
It's amazing what Project Wildlife has brought to the community. We're really happy. We merged with them back in 2014, and it's been the best thing ever for San Diego Humane Society. We can really cover all animals now. We aren't quite there on the marine animals necessarily yet, but we're getting there. We have great partners with that, too, with SeaWorld right here, on our doorstep. So that's a big help. But the wildlife part, I have learned so much. I mean, as you know, Drew, I'm a vet, but I don't know anything about wildlife medicine. And Dr. Wohl does, and her colleagues over at Project Wildlife, and Autumn, and our educator, and the whole team over there, just what they've taught me, it's incredible. But I'll let Alexis talk about Don't touch wildlife in the spring necessarily.
Yeah, so that's been our big campaign for years now, but really starting to create initiatives to support that. So every year we get hundreds, maybe even thousands of patients that don't need to come in. So we call it abduction with good intention or kidnapped with good intentions. And that's just because these animals are doing what they're doing out in the wild naturally. And then good Samaritans who think they're doing the right thing are intervening and bringing these animals to us when they really don't need to come in. So most of these are healthy baby animals that mom and dad are around or maybe out hunting, looking for food for them. And they're left alone for a short period of time or maybe even half a day in some cases. And then someone finds them and thinks that they're injured or orphaned, and then they bring them into our care.
Where are they from all over the county? And is there a certain type of animal that is brought in more than others?
Yeah, I mean, this is happening, I would say, around the world. It's not exclusive to San Diego County for sure. And it's pretty much every animal that you can think of, anywhere from little baby bunnies that are left in a nest to the great horned owls that we typically get in. And the owls and the raptor species, so the birds of prey, are the ones that we are most concerned about. Great horned owls can take up to 6 to 8 months before they are alone, and their parents are watching for them until then. And so we don't want to have these animals in care for that long. And the parents are teaching them how to be birds, hunt, fly, and that's something that we just cannot replicate in care.
Well, I mean, Kristen, did you know this was an issue, by the way?
I didn't know it was an issue, but what I was thinking of is being the literary person over here and also a parent is that you see so many books of like, oh, the injured bird, and we take it to the veterinarian and all this sort of stuff. I feel like there needs to be some campaign or some good book that people are like, no, like let the bird chill and stay there for a second, because I think that's just kind of embedded in us. Like we all want to help, and we've seen that scenario so many times on TV and books.
It's also mythology that you can't touch a bird and have the parents ever accept that baby back. Maybe you want to talk more about that, but I was surprised to learn that myself.
Yeah.
I know. I don't know where this myth came from, but it is a total myth. Wild parents are incredible parents. They are not going to abandon their babies just because someone touched them somewhere along the way.
Yeah.
So that's definitely not true. We would say, using protective equipment on yourself in case the animal is injured or has a disease or even some parasites on the outside is not a bad idea, but your touch is not going to interfere with the parents caring for them.
Right. So then someone brings in an owl or a hawk or whatever, anything in between, I guess. I'm probably not allowed in between that. But and then they bring them here, Gary?
Yeah. We get, as Dr. Wohl just said, we get upwards of 12 to 13,000 animals a year at Project Wildlife. So they're not all raptors and passerine birds and other, waterfowl and things that we get. We also get predators and black bears, and we get bobcats and mountain lions up in our Ramona facility.
Right.
But yeah, we get a ton of animals. So it's either from the public, or they're picked up by our humane officers on the roads, or they come in through California Department of Fish and Wildlife.
So, sorry, okay. So people are bringing in animals, they don't always need to bring them in. So when should they bring animals in, or should it always be a situation of call us and we'll take care of it?
Yeah, that's a great question, because there's so many little details to think about. And it depends so much on the species and the situation. So that's why we started our Watch and Wait campaign. So typically, if the animal is clearly visibly injured or in danger, we're talking there's wounds on them, they're broken wing, they're in a pet's mouth, like a dog's mouth at the time, then absolutely this patient needs to be brought into us.
Okay.
Everything else is a little bit depends. And so that might be, if it's a healthy fledgling great horned owl, it is perfectly normal for them to be on the ground for weeks, maybe even months while mom and dad is feeding them. They're able to climb trees at a very young age, so we don't really worry if they're on the ground for too long. They'll find their way back up. So that's why we always say to watch and wait, and then call your local rehabilitation center, which in San Diego County is Project Wildlife, and we can talk you through that process. It might be something as simple as just walk away, leave it, they're fine. Would you mind waiting, maybe 30 minutes to an hour, see if mom and dad come back. If it's a baby hummingbird that people are concerned the nest was abandoned, you don't have to wait that long, maybe 15, 20 minutes from a distance, and you can see mom and dad coming in and feeding them. But again, watching and waiting before you just go in and scoop up that baby is the best thing to do.
So you mentioned the Ramona site, right? Is that for the larger animals? Obviously you don't want to bring a bear in here, correct?
Please don't. Please don't.
I'll make a note of that. So the one that's in my backyard, I won't bring in.
Yeah.
Exactly. It is. It's really for our predator species in the state of California. So it's not just San Diego County. I'm not sure if California black bears are in San Diego County. I don't believe they are.
Not yet.
Did you have a bear? Did I read about a bear in Ramona that you guys are taking care of?
We get them from all over the state. So we really are one of the primary resources for California Department of Fish and Wildlife for black bears that are injured or orphaned throughout the state. So we just released 2 this week or last week, something like that.
You remember that?
And we still have others. So those are our bigger animals, often our predators, but we've also got raptors up there. So the great horned owls that Alexis just mentioned, but we also have everything from, you can fill in the blanks, but up to a bald eagle. We've got them all up there. It's not totally predators versus prey down here in San Diego, because we also have the world's first raccoon nursery up in Ramona. And it's just wonderful. So it's we're also building it.
Can you hire me? That's right. I'll follow Alexis
Always
around.
looking for volunteers.
We are. And one thing I just want to add to what
please.
Dr. Wohl said, I can't say anything better about wildlife than she can. I should probably actually say less. But one thing to add is that if you do find an injured or an orphaned animal, go to our website, because those resources are there. There's now more and more out there about how you actually can online determine if an animal needs to come in. So we really rely on that too.
Yeah, and what's the website?
sdhumane.org.
Right, we're chatting with Dr. Gary Weitzman, President and CEO of the San Diego Humane Society, joined by his colleague, Dr. Alexis Wohl, Wildlife Rehabilitation Veterinarian for the Humane Society's Project Wildlife. I'm Drew Schlosberg, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. We are so honored to be broadcasting here from the San Diego Humane Society. Kristen Fogel, my co-host, has not let go of the two puppies that have been in her lap now going on, I think, almost hour 3. Is that correct?
Something like that.
We had Hank the turtle in here recently, and we're not sure what else is up the sleeve of gear. Who knows what's going to come in here? Maybe
The goats and pigs are out there waiting.
goats and pigs, crocodiles, everything in between as well on this. Kristen is the executive director of San Diego Writers, Inc., celebrating their 20th anniversary year on this. Talk about this mountain lion with a jaw fracture that returned to the wild, your mountain lion.
Yeah, we had this mountain lion. It was an adult male mountain lion. One of the bigger ones we've had in our care came in because presumably he was hit by a car found on the side of the road, which is a pretty common finding. We have a lot of animals that come in through our care that were hit by cars. And he was brought to another center, stabilized for a little bit, and then Fish and Wildlife brought him to us, where he received care for about 2 months, including multiple surgeries to fix his jaw and broken teeth. And then we were able to finally release him back into the wild.
Now, where do you release him?
So for mountain lions and bears, California Fish and Wildlife is doing most of that movement. For obvious reasons, those are more difficult patients to maneuver around, require a lot more sedation than our typical patients. So they are usually the ones just determining where they're going to release to. But in most cases, we release our patients within 10 miles of where they were found, especially for adults and mountain lions specifically. They have a specific territory, so we want to make sure we're putting them back into their own territory.
Yeah, what's their range of a mountain lion? Does it depend on the type of mountain lion, or there's only one type of mountain?
No, it absolutely does. And definitely male mountain lions, it can be dozens, hundreds of miles.
Right.
The females, maybe a little bit less. And also kind of depends on us, right? Because we've encroached on their territory quite a bit. So sometimes they're kind of forced to stay where they are.
Well, as Gary knows, I live by Los Penasquitos Canyon, and there are mountain lions in there. And Jane swears that there was one in our backyard. And I sure it wasn't a bobcat. No, it was a mountain lion, So, and which is possible.
Probably was. For the last few months, we've been tracking a mountain lion up in the Escondido area.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
there have been a lot of reports about that lion. I think that some of them came to Project Wildlife. You might have answered some of those questions.
Yeah. And sometimes I will say the bobcats are deceivingly larger than you think they will be, too.
They're like
So,
60 pounds. I mean, these are monsters. But the question for you, so, we're, this is, and Gary knows our dog had passed away,
sorry.
just like Betty did, So they're almost kindred spirits in some extent. Betty being Gary's longtime dog. So we're walking Jesse in the Penasquitos Canyon, my daughter and I, and we heard an unmistakable roar coming. And I go, that does not sound like anything I've heard other than a mountain lion. And Sammy and I, our eyeballs the size of saucers, and there was someone else walking on the trail. I go, I don't know, I didn't see it, but it sounded like there was a mountain lion there. And of course, we didn't hightail it out of there. We walked slowly out of there. That had to have been a mountain lion, correct? Tracking us, do you think?
Would it be with a roar? I think so, right?
It was loud.
It could be. I definitely wouldn't be surprised in that area.
What else could it have been?
A bobcat that thought it was a mountain lion. had delusions of grandeur.
Yeah. That happens.
Man, it was something. I almost jumped out of my socks on that one. We come back from break. We're going to continue the conversation with Dr. Gary Weitzman and Dr. Alexis Wohl. We'll talk about how we can support what you're doing in this aspect, and maybe, which is always good. Kristen and I love to hear do's and don'ts when you come across some of these animals, and then most importantly, as Gary knows, Alexis, what can our listeners do to support your efforts? How's that sound?
Sounds great.
Okay, we will be right back. Now we're right back. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, and you're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest-running community podcast, now in our 18th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union for 6 decades, doing great things for us folk living in San Diego County. Honored, as always, to have in the studio, and we're in their studio today. We're broadcasting from the San Diego Humane Society headquarters on Gain Street. Dr. Gary Weitzman, President and CEO of the San Diego Humane Society, joined by his colleague, Dr. Alexis Wohl, Wildlife Rehabilitation Veterinarian for the Humane Society's Project Wildlife, joined by my longtime co-host, Kristen Fogel. She is the executive director of San Diego Writers Inc. They're celebrating their 20th anniversary this year. Kristen, what questions do you have?
I have a lot of questions. Why don't we go back to your question about do's and don'ts? I was thinking about that particularly. I have a place over by Mission Trails, so there's some wildlife over there, and go hiking occasionally, and I'm not always sure what to do.
Yeah.
So, what are kind of some do's and don'ts if you run across a mountain lion or, something similar?
Or a rattlesnake or whatever.
That too. That I think I can cover, but, you could cover that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, for the most part, most wild animals want nothing to do with you. They are probably more fearful of you than you are of them. And mountain lions might be the one exception, especially if you have, a little dog or kitty around.
Yeah.
But definitely just being aware of your surroundings, especially when it comes to the mountain lions, listening for that roar or some shrubbery moving that sounds a little suspicious. But not running away from a mountain lion is also a good idea. You don't want to spark that instinct in them that
They're
the
faster
predator.
than us, aren't they?
Absolutely. Yes,
Just a bit.
you're not going to outrun it.
Right.
And so, making yourself bigger, louder when it comes to kind of those bigger predators like the bears and the mountain lions. And most everything else really wants something to do with us. So if you leave them alone, they're going to leave you alone.
What about, so this could just be me, but I see more coyotes than I have ever seen before. Are you seeing a lot more coyotes coming into you, sightings, attacking, smaller animals? Talk to me about that.
There are a lot of coyotes in San Diego County. They're an apex predator. Obviously, we know that. We want everybody to be very, very careful with their pets.
Yeah.
Always know where especially any pet under, I'd say, probably 20 pounds. Coyotes are generally, I think they're about 30 pounds to 40.
They're
right?
not big.
They're
They're
not
really not.
Yeah, they're not big.
Yeah, and they're
Especially
very
our
lean.
coyotes. I mean,
Yeah, and there's not really a time of day, so they'll go all day. I mean, I'm saying this all like an expert, and I've got the expert sitting right here next to me. But that's what I've learned, and we have tragic stories happen all the time that we hear about people losing their pets. We do want to do what Alexis just said, and if you do see one or one is in your yard, then hazing that animal is probably a good idea, and it's a humane way to take care of that. Just make it an unwelcome space. Don't leave food out in your yard ever, because you will have some visitors, and don't make it a friendly place. So if you make a lot of noise, we don't want you to throw things at a coyote, but if you make a lot of noise, make yourself look bigger. I have all the experts around the table with me, and I'm saying this like I am. Anything you
No,
want to add?
that's 100% spot on. I mean, coyotes are not going to attack people unnecessarily. If we're interfering with their pups or they're scared or cornered, that would be really the only reason that they would become aggressive. But, obviously we're in their environment, they're in our environment. Right. And so they're just looking for places to live amongst us. And so if you don't want them in your yard, personally, I would love it if they were. I know I'm not the norm, but if you don't want them in your yard, making it a very uninhabitable place and spraying water near them, loud noises like a can of pennies and making those really loud sounds to kind of deter them from your yard.
And I mean, not leaving your pets out at night too. I mean, I always hear these awful we have a large coyote population, and I'm just I know what's going on, and I'm surprised that it keeps occurring. So I wish we could get that out there.
Yeah, that's really important.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we don't really want pets to ever be left out, day or night.
Right.
But yeah, definitely know where your pets are and know that you can care for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we've had many coyote in my backyard, and a friend of mine saw this little baseball bat by the door that led to that backyard. I go, what's that for? And I go, we have coyotes back there, and I don't want them, eating Jesse. I'll go outside and just make sure I'm not going to hurt the coyote. I'm just,
Yeah.
And they go,
Just going to have some words.
Have some words.
Well, he goes, there's no coyotes here. So he steps in the backyard. He goes, you mean like that huge one on your fence?
Oh,
there
yeah,
was,
coyote.
oh my goodness, this thing was massive. Then it sort of scampered away and all that. But that's really good advice on that. How do we support your efforts, Alexis? What do we do besides being good citizens and not doing something stupid?
Absolutely. I mean, we can use our community support, and we are so grateful for the support that we already receive for this amazing area to work in. We're always looking for volunteers, and we're always looking for donations. Once a year, we do have our baby shower list. So it's a virtual baby shower where we put all of our wants and needs for the baby season to prep us for the year. And then on top of that, we always have kind of a running list of things we might need. Anything from an incubator to house our babies, to baby blankets, to formulas. These are really expensive items that go into a lot of our patients' needs.
So What would a volunteer do?
I was just thinking that too.
I was going, okay, Drew, why don't you go here? You can
Right,
handle
right.
this rabid animal over here. You know,
We are so grateful for our volunteers as well. We would not be able to operate without them. And some volunteers, rightly so, I don't want to deal with the animals. I just want to help with some foundational work, and that can be anything from dishes, laundry, and obviously that's immensely helpful for us, to anything. We have satellite teams where people literally bring home baby raccoons and raise them. Obviously, we provide a lot of training, a lot of resources. We want to make sure this is safe for both them and the
We're sending
animals.
a half dozen to you, Drew, tomorrow.
I got a big backyard.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you a picture of
We can put an aviary in your yard for some of our birds.
it can handle it back there. No, I'd be the one that wanted to handle the animals, and then that's what
And
I
we can
want.
do that too with volunteers. We have volunteers that are actually doing animal handling at both Ramona or here in San Diego at our hospital.
Is that right? Well,
Yeah.
I did. That sounds so exciting. Now, was that something you'd want to do, Kristen?
Handle wild animals?
Well, animals can be wild. Yes, that is true.
No, I mean I've volunteered over at the barking lot, which is in East County, like walking dogs and washing dogs and stuff like
great.
that before.
That's
But it's been a minute. But that was super rewarding and so much fun.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, our volunteers really love it, and there's such a pride of working at Project Wildlife. It's really an unusual place. It's probably the largest wildlife rehab facility in the country.
Wow.
Wow.
There are, the Marine Mammal Center up in Sausalito. There are different scales, but as far as doing wildlife, the numbers that we do are just really astonishingly high. So there's lots of opportunity. People want to do it, but I think the most important thing that people can do to help us is to really be educated about what happens with wildlife during the spring and summer. We have the baby season. That is really, I don't know, March to August, something
Yeah,
like that.
we're in the prime right now. It doesn't get busier than this.
So when you say baby season of everything?
Kind of is, isn't it?
Pretty
That's
much.
what happens in the spring, Drew, is all the little
Yeah.
I'll
know.
draw a diagram for you later. It's fine. I'll bring little puppets.
All I know, the storks are busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are busy.
Yeah.
The storks are
I'm not going to
very
go with
busy.
anything else but that. All right. So
Yeah.
don't ruin my illusion on that. No, but literally, so all types of animals, pretty much.
Yeah, so the birds specifically are very seasonal. We might have some mammals that are kind of longer seasonality,
Yeah.
but here in San Diego, most of the baby birds, mammals, even reptiles are hatching, being born this time of year. So we hit one of our record days just last week. We had over 100 new patients come into our care in one day.
How do you possibly deal with that?
It is mind-boggling. And that's where the education part comes in. Of those 100 that came in, probably they all needed to, but sometimes they don't. So just knowing which ones you don't have to rush into our hospitals is a really big help with the community.
I mean, in my mind, there's 100 people lined up with a different animal, knocking on your door.
That's a pretty good picture.
That is just
Wow.
It is incredible. So it's hard to fathom what we would do in San Diego County without Project Wildlife, because most places don't have wildlife rehabilitation. Having it here we care about animals so much in this county.
Yeah.
It's great to have it. But I marvel at what they do at Project Wildlife. I'm part of San Diego Humane, but I marvel at what they do because Alexis is right. 100 animals on a day. We'll get ducklings, right? We'll get ducklings like 40.
Yeah, by
in
the
one
dozen.
day. Yeah.
So would that come in by one person or might be just individual?
It could, and I'm always in disbelief how members of the public can catch 12 ducklings. It's astounding. It's amazing.
You need more to do with your time if you have the time for 12 duckling catchings. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, listen, as Gary knows, Alexis, I'm just so in awe of what you folks do and so many different, we could have Gary on every single day the whole year and never come close to all the great things you're doing. But even more importantly, all the information that the public needs to know about, and it's not what you shouldn't do during mating season or whatever the case may be. The education you do out there is absolutely spectacular. So Alexis always told me what's on her bucket list. What can we do to support your efforts as well, Gary? Which is obviously Project Wildlife is part of it.
Yeah, it's really supporting any of your local animal nonprofits. But of course, I'm partial to San Diego Humane right now, as forever I will be. Really donate, foster, be a a volunteer for us. We can match your desires as a volunteer with almost any kind of work, with any kind of species. That would help us tremendously. And be educated. Take a look at the website. Learn what animals to leave in the yard and watch. Learn when to cut your trees and when not to, because that's really important too. Don't do any tree trimming in the spring and summer, because that's how a lot of animals come to us.
Okay.
So just wait that out till the fall.
Right. And see, that's on the website with another of the do's and don'ts to do.
Absolutely.
See, that's something I wouldn't have known.
Yeah, ditto. I wouldn't have thought of it.
Yeah, without question. Gary, always good chatting with you. Alexis, an honor to meet you.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's right. Well, this won't be the last time you'll be on the show. You'll rue the day you came on, actually.
It's true. They'll bring you back.
Yeah, we're going to bring you back. Absolutely. Dr. Gary Weitzman, President and CEO of the San Diego Humane Society. Dr. Alice Wohl, Wildlife Rehabilitation Veterinarian for the Humane Society's Project Wildlife. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest running community podcast, now in our 18th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, 6 decades of doing great things for people living in San Diego County, broadcasting from this very, very cool San Diego Humane Society headquarters on Gain Street. As always, Kristen Fogel, thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
And we hope you enjoyed the show.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.